Huawei's back in the budget smartphone game with the Huawei Y6 Pro 2019. But at 6,990 pesos, is this budget as in cheap or more like value? Stick around for the full review and find out for yourselves. Alright, so real quick before we jump into the meat and potatoes of this review, let's get a few things out of the way. So we're going to be unboxing it for the very first time. It comes in the sleek white box, and let's open it. As you can see, it includes the phone, obviously. We have the SIM tray ejector and other standards such as earphones, a micro USB cable, and an adapter. So one good thing to note is that there is a screen protector pre-installed. It's pretty easy to miss because it's so seamless, but this is awesome and very convenient for those of you whose first order of business is buying a screen protector off the bat when buying a new phone. Another thing to note is that, like most budget phones here in Asia, it does come with an FM radio app, but one great thing about it is it lets you use it without earphones. So its antenna is actually built right into the sleek polycarbonate body. So let's review the phone, shall we? The Huawei Y6 Pro 2019 is actually one of their first releases of the year, and we think it's gonna make a big splash. It joins the likes of the Redmi 6A and the Vivo Y81i in rocking MediaTek's Helio A22 processor, while throwing in value adds such as an f1.8 rear camera lens for better low-light shots and a more natural bokeh effect. There's a built-in low-light face unlock ID, which works even when the only thing illuminating your face is the neon glow of your desktop or your laptop monitor. And it's good because there's no integrated fingerprint scanner to be found anywhere on this phone. There's a total of 3 GB of RAM for smoother multitasking. Okay, so our tour of the phone begins at the front. Huawei's dewdrop notch design sits proudly at the top center of the 6.09 IPS HD Plus LCD, which packs 282 pixels per inch in its 1560 by 720 wide HD resolution. If you're anti-notch, you can actually just hide it in the settings if you want to. But in either case, this is where you'll also find the 8 megapixel f2.0 selfie camera. Above that is the speaker grille, which houses a notification LED, and Huawei calls it a toning flash 2.0, which is a selfie flash assisted by the screen light, which is meant to give your selfies a more natural lighting effect. So moving down the slim side bezels to the bottom bezel, which we're just gonna call the Jay Leno, if you know what I mean, and we're gonna leave it at that. On the left side, we have the dual SIM card tray with a micro SD slot. On the right side, we have our volume rocker and the power button, again with no integrated fingerprint scanner. So up top, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack and ambient mic, and down at the bottom is the sadly not Type-C micro USB slot and bottom firing speakers. If you turn it around, as you can see, there is the 13 megapixel f1.8 rear camera lens and LED flash. Down the bottom, you can see more Huawei branding and a CE certification info. And I know a lot of people don't like that, but it's there. So we have the sleek polycarbonate body, as mentioned earlier, and given its weight, given its measurements, it comes in at around 150 grams. It's a very holdable phone, as you can see, because it does taper off to a more rounded side. So now that we know how the phone looks, let's talk a bit more about how it runs. So media consumption is nice and crisp at around 720p, as the launcher fills in the notch area with black bars, cutting its width back down to 1280 pixels, so that there's no unsightly stretching even when you're watching your videos in full screen. In terms of audio though, the Y6 Pro suffers from the same problem as most phones do, with bottom firing speakers. So in terms of image quality, of course, the more light there is, the better the photo. With good technique and ample lighting, photos can really turn up quite good. But the relatively wide lens apertures do seem to help in lower light and indoor scenarios. But photos taken in these conditions do turn out objectively grainier or softer. I mean, there's only so much the laws of physics will allow. And that just about wraps up our review of the Huawei Y6 Pro 2019. It's a potent budget phone with plenty of things going for it and a few compromises to work around. At just shy of 7,000 pesos, we feel like it punches way above its weight class. But that's just our assessment. What do you think?